The last thing I remember before the world exploded was the color of the traffic light. It was green, a vibrant summer leaf green. I was singing a lullaby to Emma, my 6-week-old daughter, who was safely secured in her rear-facing car seat. We were on our way home from the pediatrician, a clean bill of health, a perfect sunny Thursday. Then, from the passenger side window, a violent blur of white and chrome. A delivery truck, a behemoth of screaming metal, ran the red light at what the police report would later estimate was 60 miles per hour. There was no screech of brakes, just the apocalyptic, deafening thunder of impact. My Honda Civic, my safe, sensible mom car, was T-boned on the driver's side. The world became a violent kaleidoscope of spinning sky, pavement, and shattering glass. The airbag detonated in my face with the force of a shotgun blast, a powdery, chemical smell filling my nostrils. My head snapped sideways, connecting with the window, a sound like a melon cracking. Then, silence. A thick, woolly silence, broken only by a high, thin ringing in my ears. Consciousness returned in nauseating waves. I was upside down, or sideways, I couldn't tell. Blood, warm and coppery, trickled into my eye. Something was very wrong with my chest. Each shallow breath was a stabbing agony. A searing fire radiated from my left shoulder. Emma! The thought pierced the fog like a lightning bolt. I tried to turn my head, to crane my neck, but the movement sent white-hot pain through my collarbone. A strangled cry escaped my lips. "My baby." It was a wet, bubbly whisper. "Please, my baby." Distant sirens wove through the ringing in my ears. They grew louder, transforming from echoes into screaming reality. Hands were suddenly there, gloved and efficient, working to stabilize my neck, to cut through the twisted metal that had once been my car door. "Ma'am, can you hear me? My name is Lauren. You've been in an accident. We're getting you out." The paramedic's face swum into view, a woman in her 40s with kind, worried eyes behind clear plastic goggles. Her voice was calm, a lifeline in the chaos. "My daughter," I gasped, the effort making stars dance in my vision. "6 weeks, rear seat, please." "We're checking her right now, ma'am. Just breathe for me. Can you tell me your name?" "Rebecca Martinez." Each word was a mountain to climb. "Emma, is she—" A second paramedic appeared at the woman's shoulder, giving a subtle thumbs up. "Infant secure. Car seat did its job. She's crying. That's a good sign." A sob of pure, undiluted relief tore from my throat, mingling with the pain. She was alive. She was crying. As they carefully extracted me onto a backboard, the full scope of the damage registered. The left side of my car was concertinaed inward, a sculpture of violent geometry. Where my door had been was now a gaping maw of jagged metal, inches from where my body had been. In the blinding white of the ambulance, reality began its cold, insistent drip. "Emma, she's with my neighbor, only for 20 minutes, I whispered to Lauren, the kind-eyed paramedic. My vision was blurry, my head pounding in time with the siren. "I need someone to get her. Stay with her." "Do you have family you can call?" Family. The word, usually a comfort, now sparked a different kind of panic. My husband, Marcus, was 30,000 feet over Texas, en route to Dallas for a crucial client presentation. His phone was off. His parents were in Arizona. My best friend, Alicia, was in Seattle. There was only one person left. With shaking, blood-smeared fingers, I managed to pull up my contacts. The world narrowed to the glowing screen. I tapped the photo I'd taken last Christmas. My mother, Patricia, beaming as she held a swaddled Emma, her first grandchild. I'd thought then, foolishly, that the baby would bridge the unspoken distance between us, that it would soften her. The phone rang 3 times before she answered. The background noise was immediately wrong. the gentle plucking of harpstrings, the soft murmur of voices, the clink of fine glass. "Rebecca, I'm at the spa. What is it?" Her voice was tinged with the mild annoyance of a luxury interrupted. "Mom," my voice was a broken thing, barely recognizable. "I've been in a car accident, a bad one. I'm in an ambulance." A pause. I could almost see her, wrapped in a fluffy white robe, cucumber slices on her eyes. "An accident? Are you sure it's that serious? You know how you tend to be dramatic about these things." The words were a physical blow, landing squarely on my broken ribs. Dramatic, her favorite label for me since childhood. My appendicitis was attention-seeking. My college pneumonia was a bad cold. Stop milking it. "Mom, my car is totaled. I have a head injury. They're taking me to County General Trauma. Please, I just need you to go get Emma from Mrs. Chin. She's been there too long. I don't know when I'll be out." "County General? That's an hour away from the spa, Rebecca." A sigh, deep and theatrical. "I'm getting a seaweed wrap right now. It's already started. Can't Marcus handle this?" "He's on a plane. He won't land for 5 hours. Mom, please. She's 6 weeks old. She's exclusively breastfed. She needs—" "Hold on." Muffled sounds. Then, clear as a bell, my sister Vanessa's laugh, a light tinkling sound. "Mom, tell her we're on vacation already." More laughter. My mother came back on the line, her voice sharper, edged with impatience. "Rebecca, your sister and I are leaving tomorrow morning for our Caribbean cruise. We have the pre-cruise spa package today. It's non-refundable." Something in my chest gave way. It wasn't a rib. It was something older, more fundamental, a final thread of hope snapping. "Mom, this is an emergency. Your granddaughter needs—" "Your sister never has these emergencies," she cut in, her tone icy. "Vanessa has 2 children, and she's never once called me in a panic. She's organized, she's responsible. You need to learn to handle your own life." Tears of pain and fury blurred the paramedic's face above me. Lauren's jaw was tight. She could hear every damning word. "I didn't plan to get hit by a truck, Mom." "Well, responsible parents have contingency plans. I can't just drop everything every time you have a crisis. We've been planning this cruise for 8 months. Your father and I deserve this." The ambulance hit a pothole. Agony, bright and blinding, lanced through my torso. I cried out. "Are you even listening to me?" she continued, as if I'd made the sound to annoy her. "This is exactly why I worry about you. Always so chaotic, always needing to be rescued. I raised you to be independent." The hypocrisy was a poison. I'd been independent since I was 19, financially, emotionally. While Vanessa had been showered with down payments for her house and free babysitting, I had quietly shouldered my own world. "I'm not asking you to cancel your cruise," I said, each word a shard of glass in my throat. "Just to watch Emma for a few hours until Marcus gets back. Please. I'm getting on a ship tomorrow, Rebecca. I need to pack, I need to prepare. We're not going to let your poor planning ruin our trip." My poor planning. The final veil fell. I saw her with a devastating, crystalline clarity, not as my mother, but as a woman who viewed my existence, and now my daughter's, as an inconvenient footnote to her own curated life of leisure. "Mom," I whispered, the fight draining out of me, replaced by a cold, hollow certainty. "I was hit by a truck. And I'm sure you're fine. You're talking, aren't you?" The line clicked dead. I stared at the phone, the screen darkening. The photo of her smiling with Emma seemed like a grotesque joke. In the silence of the ambulance, broken only by the blip of monitors, a new sound emerged. It was me, a low, shuddering gasp that had no tears left to accompany it. It was the sound of a fundamental truth dying. Lauren, the paramedic, gently pried the phone from my frozen fingers. Her eyes were bright with unshed tears, of pity, of rage on my behalf. "Do you have anyone else?" she asked softly. I didn't, but I had my phone. With Lauren's help, my trembling fingers found the digital business card I'd saved during my pregnancy anxiety. Elite Newborn Care, 24/7 emergency specialists. A calm, professional voice answered on the second ring. Elite Newborn Care, this is Monica. The story tumbled out, broken, frantic. The accident, the 6 weeks old, the elderly neighbor, the refusal. We can have a specialist to your location within 45 minutes, Monica said, her voice a balm of pure competence. Claudia, she's a registered nurse with 15 years in the NICU. She'll handle pumped milk, formula, whatever is needed. Your job is to breathe, Mama. We've got your daughter. The cost was astronomical. I didn't care. For $75 an hour, someone would show up. Someone would do what my own mother would not. The ER was a blur of shouted orders, blinding lights, and beeping machines. They cut my clothes away. X-rays revealed the damage: 3 broken ribs, a fractured clavicle, a concussion with suspected minor bleeding. They admitted me for observation. It was in the cold, sterile quiet of the hospital room, high on painkillers and low on hope, that I finally did the math I'd avoided for nearly a decade. I opened my banking app, navigated to automatic transfers. There it was, like a heartbeat on the screen. Monthly transfer to Family Trust, $4,500. I'd set it up at 19, a month after landing my first real design job. My father had been downsized. My mother had lamented the mortgage, the car payment, their dwindling retirement. Vanessa was in her final year of an expensive private college, so I'd become their ghost benefactor. A separate account, an automatic payment to their mortgage company. They thought it was a pension adjustment, a bookkeeping error in their favor, a blessing from a bureaucratic god. They never questioned it. They just spent it on spa days, on cruises, on helping Vanessa with her perfect house, on the very Caribbean vacation my mother had chosen over her granddaughter today. $4,500 times 12 months times 9 years equaled $486,000. I had paid nearly $500,000 for their love, and today I had discovered its market price, less than 3 hours of inconvenience. My finger hovered over the screen. Then, with a tap that felt more decisive than any vow I'd ever taken, I canceled the transfer. The confirmation screen blinked up at me. Recurring transfer canceled. Next, I opened a new account, Emma's Future. I set up a new automatic transfer, $4,500 monthly from my account to hers. I was redirecting the river of my guilt and obligation, no longer flowing toward the barren ground of my parents' entitlement, but into the fertile soil of my daughter's life. The door to my room opened. It wasn't a nurse. It was my grandfather, my mother's father, Joe. He stood there in his familiar cardigan, his sharp blue eyes taking in the neck brace, the monitors, the bruising already blooming like storm clouds on my skin. "Grandpa?" My voice cracked. "Mrs. Chin called me," he said, his voice gravelly with emotion. He pulled a chair close, his movements slow and careful. "She heard everything. When you picked up Emma before the ambulance came, she heard your mother say no." Tears I'd been holding back finally spilled over. He took my uninjured hand, his grip warm and steady. "I called your mother," he said, his voice dropping to a low, dangerous register I'd never heard before. "I told her she was being dramatic, that Emma wasn't her responsibility, that you needed to deal with the consequences of having a child." Each word was a nail. Consequences. My Emma, a consequence? "So," Grandpa Joe continued, a cold fire in his eyes, "I called the cruise line. I canceled their booking. Your grandmother and I paid for that trip, $12,000. I told them I wanted a refund." My breath caught. "Grandpa, you didn't have to." "Yes, I did." He leaned forward. "But that's not all, Rebecca. I gave her an ultimatum. 24 hours to make this right, a real apology, to show up for you and that beautiful baby girl. If she doesn't," he paused, I'm changing my will. Everything that was to go to your mother, the Pasadena house, the stocks, everything goes to you and Emma instead." The world tilted again. "You can't do that." "I already called Gerald, my attorney. The papers are being drawn up tomorrow." His eyes were old and sad and utterly resolved. "Your grandmother, she always saw it, the way Patricia favored Vanessa. She made me promise to watch out for you. I failed her for too long. Not anymore." He left just as Marcus burst in, still in his rumpled travel suit, his face pale with terror that melted into relief when he saw me. He gathered me gently into his arms, smelling of airplane air and fear, and I finally, fully broke down. I told him everything, the accident, the phone call, the money, all of it. His reaction was a study in quiet, building fury. "She's taken $500,000 from you, and she couldn't give you 3 hours?" He held me, his heartbeat a furious drum against my ear. "We could have paid off our mortgage. We could have—" "It doesn't matter. It stops now." The 24-hour deadline passed in a surreal limbo. My phone lit up not with apologies, but with missiles of blame. "Mother, Rebecca, your grandfather is being unreasonable. Call him off. This is a family misunderstanding." "Vanessa, what the hell did you do? Mom is hysterical. You're tearing this family apart because you had a fender bender." I blocked them. All of them. The fallout was swift and brutal. When the next mortgage payment failed, my mother called from an unknown number, her voice a shriek of panicked entitlement. "Rebecca, the mortgage payment bounced. There's some mistake." "There's no mistake, Mom." A beat of silence. Then a slow, dawning horror. "Wait, that was you? All these years?" 9 years, $4,500 every month. You lived on my money, Mom. You retired on it. You took cruises on it. You helped Vanessa buy her house with it." The silence on the other end was deafening. Then the sputtering began. You can't just stop. We'll lose the house, the car. We'll have nothing." I took a deep breath, the pain in my ribs a grounding anchor. Like I had nothing when I called you from the ambulance, like Emma had nothing when her grandmother called her a consequence. "We're your parents. You owe us." And there it was, the unspoken contract, the one I had signed in guilt and a desperate hope for love. I pay, and you pretend to care. "I owe you nothing," I said, my voice eerily calm. "You had 9 years of my life, of my labor, and in return you couldn't give me 1 afternoon. The ledger has balanced, Mom. It's closed." I hung up, and I never answered her call again. The weeks that followed were a symphony of quiet transformation. Grandpa Joe visited every Sunday, holding Emma, telling her stories about her great-grandmother, the kind, sharp-eyed woman who had seen the truth long before anyone else. Marcus and I, with the sudden surplus in our budget, paid off our car and started a college fund that would make Emma's future secure. I heard through the fraying family grapevine that my parents downsized, that my mother took a full-time bookkeeping job, real work for the first time in decades, that the endless spa days and ladies' lunches stopped. They were learning to live within their actual means, and the world, I heard, felt very small and very hard to them. A year after the accident, a letter arrived, not from my mother, but from Vanessa. "Rebecca," it began, "I'm writing because I finally understand. Mom asked me to start helping with their bills. It started as a loan, then it became a expectation. I've given her over $20,000 this year. When I said no, she called me selfish, ungrateful. She told me I was a disappointment. You were right about all of it. We weren't a family. We were a system, and you were the fuel. I'm sorry I was too busy enjoying the warmth to see you were burning yourself out to provide it. I don't expect forgiveness, but I wanted you to know you were never dramatic. You were being consumed." I cried when I read it. not for what was lost, but for the wasted years. I wrote back a short, simple note. Thank you for seeing me. I hope you save yourself now. Take care. Emma is 2 now. She doesn't know a grandmother who chooses cruises over cuddles. She knows a Grandpa Joe who shows up with cookies and endless patience. She knows grandparents in Arizona who fly across the country when she has a sniffle. She knows that family is a verb. It's the showing up, the holding on, the choosing every single day. Sometimes, in the quiet of the evening, I think about that $486,000, the house it could have bought, the freedom it represented, the years of financial anxiety it could have spared us. But then I watch Marcus lift a giggling Emma onto his shoulders. I see the college fund statement that grows with every automated transfer. I feel the profound, unshakable peace that settled in my soul the day I canceled that payment, the day I stopped purchasing love and started earning my own self-respect. The money is gone, but what I bought with its absence is priceless. The knowledge that my daughter will never have to calculate her worth in dollars and cents to the people who are supposed to love her most. She will never have to learn that her mother's price was 3 hours or that her value was a line item in a budget. My name is Rebecca Martinez. I am 30 years old. I am a mother, a wife, a granddaughter. I used to be a daughter and a sister in the way that one is a customer or a client. Now I am free. And the view from this side of the boundary, the side built on honesty, on chosen love, on the hard, beautiful work of showing up, is more breathtaking than any Caribbean cruise could ever hope to be.